Hey there, Cinemaster fans! Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Before we start the series, send blessings upon the Prophet, make your lovely coffee, and enjoy these intense events. You'll be dying of laughter today. This series is a spin-off from The Walking Dead, specifically focusing on Maggie and Negan. Anyway, before anything else, drop a nice like, just like you. The last thing we saw was that the city was living peacefully, away from trouble. At that time, Maggie told Negan, "I can't stand you. Pack your stuff, take your wife, and get out of here." And indeed, he did just that, taking his wife and leaving the city. 2 years pass after that incident, and we see Maggie after she left the city, standing and looking at New York City surrounded by thousands of zombies everywhere. While standing there, she notices a group of zombies nearby. Gets scared, she hides quietly, not making a sound. Suddenly, a zombie grabs Maggie, so she grabs him by his clothes and smacks him on the head, knocking him out. After that, she reaches the city's outskirts and finds a restaurant where people are gathered. She enters and talks to one of the workers there. By coincidence, she discovers that Negan is living with them. He was killing zombies and protecting these people in exchange for food and drink. She asks about the room he's staying in and heads toward it. As soon as she enters, she hears his voice in the bathroom taking a shower. At that moment, she pulls out a knife to kill him. Suddenly, the restaurant's people catch her, intending to torture her because Negan is significant to them. She pulls out a knife from her shoe, takes them down, and gives them a piece of her mind. At that moment, Negan arrives. As soon as he sees Maggie, he bolts from the place, taking a girl with him. Maggie drops what she's holding and tries to catch up to him. But someone comes to kill her, so she smashes his nose, pushing it back into his face. She leaves him and runs after Negan. The problem is, she drops the map without realizing it. Anyway, she catches up to Negan in seconds. He tries to attack her, but she's faster. She tells him, "I'll cut your neck." He responds, "Calm down, lady. What's the matter? Put your weapon down so we can talk." And indeed, they sit down and talk. She tells him the whole story. "After you left the city, we lived a happy life away from trouble. But one day, a man named the Croat arrived with an entire army under his command. They stormed Hilltop, took all the grains and food, but that's not the problem. The issue is that he kidnapped Herschel and took him to Manhattan Island. I'm sure you know this guy well because he acts just like you did when you were a criminal." Negan listens, shocked, and says, "Yeah, I know him. He used to work for me back in the day, but he was mentally unstable and always annoyed me with his actions." Maggie asks, "What did he do?" Negan replies, "One day, I caught him torturing a little girl in the most horrific way. I got so angry that I tried to kill him, but the bullet only grazed his ear. I haven't seen him since." Maggie fears for her son. Negan reassures her, "Don't worry, I'll help you find him. But on one condition. I want you to move Ginny to Hilltop so she'll be safe." She agrees and takes them to wait for someone from Maggie's group to pick up Ginny. While waiting, Maggie asks him about his wife, Annie. He goes silent, then says, "I haven't seen her in a long time." Maggie feels he's hiding something and doesn't want to talk about it. She asks him, "Who is this Ginny to you?" He replies, "She's just an orphan girl. Her father died, and she has no one in this world. I consider her like my daughter and take care of her." Maggie teases him, "Negan, you're taking care of a child like this? I feel like there's more to this story that I'm not getting." After a while, Maggie's friend arrives and takes Ginny, but not to Hilltop. She takes her to a small town under Maggie's control. They head toward Manhattan. Meanwhile, back at the restaurant where Negan was staying, a car with 3 people arrives. These people are from a city called Babylon, and they are determined to kill Negan. Their leader, Pearly, enters the restaurant and asks the people there, "Has anyone seen that anywhere? This guy killed 5 people from my city." He notices a waitress who seems to know something about Negan. He says, "This is the last time I'll ask you about him. Speak, or I'll let the zombies eat you." She says, "I don't know anything about him. And by the way, I'm not scared of zombies." He grabs her by the neck and calls the zombies over. She quickly changes her tune, saying, "The last time I saw him was this morning. He left with a woman named Maggie." He lets her go just before the zombies reach her and throws her to the zombies, who fight over her. Later, Pearly finds the map Maggie dropped, which shows the route she and Negan are taking. Meanwhile, our heroes reach the shore with their boat to cross to Manhattan. Unfortunately, Pearly's car arrives at the location, so they hide quickly to avoid being seen. Pearly orders his men, "Each of you, go in a different direction. I want this area searched thoroughly." One of his men says, "I really need to go to the bathroom," but Maggie interrupts his moment, saying, "If you make a sound, I'll cut your tongue out." She and Negan capture him and escape with the boat. Pearly realizes it too late. After a while, they reach Manhattan safely and start walking quietly because zombies are everywhere in the city. Any noise could attract a horde of them. After some time, they find the road blocked by garbage. So they turn around to go back and are surprised by a passing horde of zombies. They are forced to hide in the trash until the zombies pass. Suddenly, the cockroaches fly toward them. Negan yells, "Run, man! These things are flying now!" The zombies hear them and head their way. But suddenly, someone with a weapon arrives and kills several zombies. It turns out to be Pearly, who is searching for Negan. They hide in an empty building, but Pearly finds them and enters with his weapon. He loudly demands Maggie hand over Negan and Zach, but Maggie refuses. Pearly spots Negan and shoots at him, but the bullet hits Zach instead. The zombies break into the building and kill Pearly's companion. Negan and Maggie use the opportunity to escape, leaving Pearly alone. Both of his companions are dead. The next day, Maggie and Negan encounter an elderly woman named Esther by chance. She seems kind and wants to help them. Negan asks her to take them to the Croat, but as soon as she hears his name, she becomes frightened. She tells them her group might help and takes them to the building where they live. When her group sees them, they threaten them with weapons, thinking they are with the Croat. They lock them in the bathroom until they can confirm they are not associated with him. While waiting, Negan tells Maggie, "I'm sure if the Croat sees me, he'll kill me." Maggie asks, "Why is Pearly after you and trying to kill you?" Negan replies, "To be honest, I killed several people from his town, but I was wrongfully accused." She asks, "How were you wrongfully accused?" "I don't understand." Negan explains, "My wife gave birth to a daughter, and we were living happily on the border of a town called Babylon. One day, she went into the town to get food, but was gone for an entire day. I got worried and went into the town to ask about her. I found out that a group of men had attacked and assaulted her. I tortured and killed those men. Then, I put her and my daughter on a train and sent them to a town called Misery. Because of this, Pearly wants to kill me, but he doesn't know the full story." Maggie sympathizes with him and tries to comfort him. At that moment, Tommaso enters and tells them to pack their things quickly because the Croat's men are attacking the place. They all head to the roof, but one of the Croat's men grabs Esther. Negan tells him, "Let her go, and I'll do whatever you want. This woman is innocent and has nothing to do with this." Unfortunately, the man kills Esther in front of them. Enraged, Negan attacks him, but when he sees Tommaso grieving over Esther, he tells him, "I swear I'll avenge her." Maggie warns him, "What are you planning to do?" He drags the man's body and goes to the Croat's men, telling them he splits the man's stomach open, spilling his blood everywhere to instill fear in their hearts. Then, he takes Maggie and the others to a safe house to figure out their next move. Tommaso tells them, "The Croat has been hunting us for a long time because he wants to take over the entire town." Maggie says, "The Croat kidnapped my son, and I'm here to rescue him." Maria responds, "Then we have the same goal, to kill the Croat." They move to a large building that serves as the Croat's headquarters, which he has turned into a boxing arena. The surprise is that Tommaso's men betray them and hand Pearly over to the Croat, locking him in a room for interrogation. After a while, the chef enters with a plate of food for the Croat. Later, the Croat enters and says to Pearly, "Come to eat with me." Before eating, the Croat is shocked to see a worm crawling on the food. The madman forces the chef to swallow the worm and then throws him into the boxing ring with a zombified opponent. The Croat tells him, "Kill it and get the key from its stomach to free yourself." The chef strangles the zombie, kills it, cuts it open, retrieves the key, and frees himself. Later, the Croat asks Pearly what brought him here. Pearly replies, "I'm from a town called Babylon, and I came here hunting for someone." The Croat is surprised and says, "My old friend. He's one of mine from back in the day." Meanwhile, Maggie tells the group, "I need to get into the Croat's headquarters no matter what." Tommaso replies, "Leave it to me. I was once imprisoned there, but one day they forgot to lock the door, and I escaped through the tunnels. If we use those tunnels, we can reach the cells and find out if your son is there." Elsewhere, we see Gin, who was sent to a different town. She feels out of place and wants to return to Negan, whom she sees as a father figure. Feeling unsafe without him, she sneaks out at night and heads toward Manhattan on a makeshift raft. Back with Negan, he is approached by a man who says, the man shows him a wanted poster that Pearly had been distributing. He warns Negan to take Maggie and leave quietly or be killed. Suddenly, Negan strikes the man and kills him, hiding the body so no one finds it. The next day, the group notices the man is missing and assumes he abandoned them out of fear. Unbeknownst to them, Negan killed him. They proceed with their plan, entering the tunnels cautiously as zombies are everywhere. Eventually, they reach the Croat's building but find the cells either empty or filled with zombies. They decide to devise an alternative plan to take control of the place. Maggie's task is to steal a car and prepare it, while Negan's mission is to drag the Croatian as far from his men, and Maya and the others will be killed by his men, but Maggie's son saves him. While the Croatian is standing, he hears Negan's whistle, the one he used to whistle in his criminal days. At that moment, he understands that Negan has arrived at the location and begins to follow the sound to find him. Negan keeps leading him around to draw him away from his men and isolate him. Finally, he reaches Negan, but he doesn't want revenge as Negan thought. This surprises Negan, making him realize that the Croatian is truly insane. Negan says, "Forget this nonsense you're doing. I know you want to kill me." The Croatian responds, "I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. I have an entire army under my command. What do you say we join forces and go back to the old ways?" But Negan is suspicious and doesn't trust him. Suddenly, Pearly appears and says to Negan, "This guy wanted to kill you." He then throws Pearly off a ledge, but Negan saves Pearly and takes him away from the area. Meanwhile, Maggie tries to steal a car as planned, so that when she finds her son, they can immediately escape. The surprise is that Jenny arrives at the location. Maggie asks her how she got there and takes her along to protect her. They later reunite with the group to search for Herschel. However, they are shocked when the Croatian surprises them by playing loud music above them, attracting the zombies in the streets. They find themselves in a tough situation, pull out their weapons, and start fighting the zombies. Eventually, they manage to enter a room and lock themselves in, but they find no way out except to go into the sewers. They are certain the sewers are full of zombies, but they have no other choice. On the other side, Negan takes Pearly and escapes to a shop away from the zombies. Suddenly, Pearly points a gun at Negan and says, "I won't forgive you for what you did. I must take you to Babylon City for execution in front of everyone." Negan responds, "The people I killed had raped my wife. They had to die and face justice." But Pearly doesn't believe him and insists that Negan must die. Pearly's leg is injured and he can't walk due to the pain. Negan says, "I could leave you here for the zombies to eat you, but I won't do that." Negan helps him, and they walk until they reach a bus. They enter, lock the doors securely, treat Pearly's leg, and start talking, gradually improving their relationship. Meanwhile, the group in the sewers smells a terrible stench, surrounded by decomposing corpses. They can barely stand it. Tommaso finds 2 oxygen tanks and says, "I just found these here by coincidence." Maggie responds, "Coincidence? I saw you take them out of your bag. This means you planned for us to go through this area." It becomes clear from Tommaso's expression that he had indeed made a deal with the Croatian. He confesses to Maggie, "I lied about escaping from the cell. The truth is, the Croatian caught me and threatened to kill me unless I handed over our group. In return, he promised me and Maya a boat to leave the city." Maya is shocked by this revelation, walks away, and tells him to stay away from her. Suddenly, a zombie attacks her. Tommaso tries to save her, but the zombie bites him too and they both die at the same moment. Maggie and Jenny are left alone and must continue to find a way out. As they walk, Maggie confesses something unexpected to Jenny. She says, "When the Croatian invaded the city and kidnapped my son, he told me there was only one way to get him back, bring him Negan alive, and he would return my son. That's why I searched everywhere for Negan until I found him." Jenny is upset upon hearing this but continues with Maggie reluctantly to escape the terrifying place safely. By chance, they encounter a group of zombies stuck together. Maggie tells Jenny to move ahead while she deals with them. After a tough fight, Maggie kills the strong zombie and looks for Jenny, only to find that she is left. Jenny writes "liar" on the wall before leaving. Maggie tries to catch up with her before anything bad happens, but Jenny manages to escape safely. She wants to find Negan to tell him the truth. She reaches an empty area and fires a shotgun to signal Negan. He notices the signal and understands that his friends need him. He heads toward the light, and Maggie also sees the light and follows it. When Negan sees Jenny, he is shocked and asks her what brought her there. Maggie arrives and says she found Jenny by chance and brought her along to protect her. At that moment, Jenny says, "I need to tell you something important." Negan gets angry and tells her not to say anything and to leave. To make her hate him and leave, he tells her the truth. "I killed your father because he raped my wife." We learn that Jenny's father was one of the people Negan killed for assaulting his wife. Jenny is shocked and silently walks away because she had considered Negan a father figure. Pearly tells Negan to continue his mission while he takes Jenny away. He does so and leaves with her. The next day, we see the Croatian arriving at a building filled with gang members. He walks until he meets their leader, a woman named Dama. He tells her, "I killed Tommaso and his group who were causing us trouble." She asks him about Negan, and he replies, "I almost caught him, but he got away." From their conversation, we understand that they don't want to kill Negan. On the contrary, they want him to lead them because the Croatian praises him, saying there's no criminal like him. Meanwhile, Negan and Maggie are in a specific location, waiting for the Croatian to pass by in his car so they can follow him to his base. When they see his car, they follow it until they reach his location. Before entering, Negan asks Maggie, "What was Jenny trying to tell me?" Maggie's expression changes, showing fear, and Negan senses that she intends to harm him. Suddenly, she pulls out a knife and tries to stab him to hand him over in exchange for her son. They fight for a long time until Negan overpowers her and says, "I understand everything now. The Croatian took your son because he wanted me, and you were willing to take revenge on me. even though I tried to start a new chapter with you several times and told you that I regretted what I did. But it seems you will never forgive me." At that moment, the Croatian arrives with his men. He catches Negan off guard, grabs the knife, and immobilizes him. The Croatian takes them in his car to the place where he is holding Herschel, Maggie's son. Even though Maggie hates Negan, she felt regret for what she did and was afraid that this madman might hurt him. As soon as they arrived at the prison where Herschel was being held, she had left Negan restrained to ensure he wouldn't escape. Negan told her, "Take your son and leave." And indeed, she takes her son, leaves Negan, and walks away. The surprise, however, is that Herschel was upset because his mother handed over Negan to save him. He believed Negan had nothing to do with it. Maggie couldn't respond to him because he was right. She left Manhattan and returned to the city where she used to live. That night, she sat with her son and told him, "You're right about everything you said. I need to fix my mistake and start a new chapter with Negan." It seems she will go back to Negan to save him. One day, while cleaning her son's room, she was surprised by a picture of Dama and couldn't understand what this woman had done to occupy his thoughts and make him keep a drawing of her. On the other side, the Croatian took Negan to meet Dama. Indeed, this was the moment Dama had been waiting for because, despite hearing about Negan for so long, it was the first time she saw him. She told him, "I will give you power in your hands that you could never dream of. I heard you retired from crime, but I want you to return. By the way, I cut off a finger from Herschel, Maggie's son, because I know Herschel is precious to you. If you don't want to return to your old ways, that's up to you, but I can kill him." I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.